Hey, sixth graders, third lesson in our chapter on what is science. It's answering scientific questions. So, and it's just not going to like me. So I guess we'll have to do it this way. My Planet Diary is a mystery. It's called Bittersweet. In 2007, scientists found they had a mystery on their hands. In some countries, commercial honeybees began dying off in very large numbers. Honeybees pollinate crops such as apples, nuts, celery, and squash. If the mystery went unsolved, basic foods might become scarce. Scientists began to investigate. In 2009, they compared the genes in healthy honeybees to the genes in sick honeybees. They found evidence that certain viruses attack proteins in honeybees. The afflicted bees seem unable to produce proteins that can fight the viruses, so the bees die. This study was one of the first to identify a cause for the mystery, but scientists still need to investigate further to find a cure for the bees. Next. So our key questions: what is scientific inquiry? How do you design and conduct an experiment? And what are scientific theories and laws? So scientific inquiry, the ongoing process of discovery in science, which is the diverse ways in which scientists study the natural world and propose explanations based on evidence they gather. So it refers, again, to the diverse ways in which scientists study the natural world and propose explanations based on the evidence they gather. A hypothesis is a possible explanation for a set of observations or answer to a scientific question. It must be testable. So an experiment must follow sound scientific principles for its results to be valid. And if we come back in person, we will do an experiment or two, hopefully, and talk more about that in detail. Variables are a factor that can change in an experiment. So you have independent, similar to math, which we talked about, is the one factor that a scientist changes during an experiment. It's also called the manipulated variable. The dependent variable is the factor that changes as a result of changes to the independent variable in an experiment, also called the responding variable. So we have a controlled experiment, which is an experiment in which only one variable is manipulated at a time. Data, which is facts, figures, and other evidence gathered through observations. Scientific theory, a well-tested explanation for a wide range of observations or experimental results. A scientific theory is a well-tested and widely accepted explanation of observations and experimental results. Scientific law is a statement that describes what scientists expect to happen every time under a particular set of conditions. Scientific laws describe observed patterns in nature without trying to explain those patterns. So our vocab: scientific inquiry, the ongoing process of discovering science, the diverse ways in which scientists study the natural world and propose explanations based on evidence they gather. Hypothesis, a possible explanation for a set of observations or answer to a scientific question. It must be testable. Variables are a factor that can change in an experiment. Independent variable, the one factor that a scientist changes during an experiment, also called the manipulated variable. Dependent variable, the factor that changes as a result of changes to the independent variable in an experiment, also called the responding variable. Controlled experiment, an experiment in which only one variable is manipulated at a time. Data, facts, figures, and other evidence gathered through observations. Scientific theory is a well-tested explanation for a wide range of observations or experimental results. Scientific law is a statement that describes what scientists expect to happen every time under a particular set of conditions. So your assignment is to complete the Edmodo questions for lesson 3. It's a fairly short assignment, I think, for you. So go ahead and get that done. Let me know if you have any questions, and have a wonderful day.